There are moments in life when a simple truth arrives quietly, almost shyly, carrying more power than a shout ever could. The story begins with a mother, not because she is famous, not because her words were meant for microphones or audiences, but because there is a certain depth only a mother's perspective can give. She sits at a table one morning, sunlight scattered across the room, thinking about the path her child has taken, the storms he walked into, the ones he created, the ones he survived, and the ones he learned to steer. She thinks not of rockets, not of companies, not of headlines, but of the intangible forces that lift a person from ordinary life to a path so demanding it nearly devours them before elevating them. And she realizes something she has never said out loud, something simple but transformative, that greatness has far less to do with talent or genius than with a relentless, stubborn refusal to stop when every sign around you tells you to quit. This realization is not glamorous. It isn't a secret formula. It is the kind of wisdom that comes from watching a child fall down, get up, fall harder, stand slower, cry, wipe the tears, and walk again. From seeing doubt in their eyes but determination in their bones. From witnessing failure so brutal it leaves bruises on the spirit. And yet the child keeps going. She remembers the earliest days, not the billionaire years, not the applause. Not the controversies, but the small, quiet beginnings. A child who wasn't spectacular for his achievements yet, but for his endless questions. A child who broke things not out of mischief but curiosity. A child who looked at problems not as walls but as puzzles. And she thinks, this is what people forget. Success does not start with brilliance. It starts with curiosity. It starts with the willingness to be misunderstood, underestimated, even mocked. She recalls times when he felt alone, standing in a room full of people who could not see what he saw. Times when even she worried for him, because the road he chose was not the safe one, not the predictable one, not the one lined with comforting nods of approval. But he wanted something bigger than comfort. And she realized the world often misunderstands people like that. They think the dreamers are reckless, the innovators are stubborn, the visionaries are delusional. But to a mother, stubbornness looks different. It looks like passion. It looks like a refusal to shrink. It looks like the birth of purpose. She remembers asking him once why he pushed himself so hard, why he carried more pressure than necessary, why he insisted on walking paths where the ground was still forming beneath each step. And his answer wasn't grand or poetic. He simply said he couldn't imagine living any other way. And she realized something powerful: some people are built not for comfort, but for creation. Not for applause, but for impact. Not for the straight road, but for the one that demands everything and gives nothing until the very end. That is the revelation she wishes people would understand, not about her son specifically, but about anyone who dares to dream too big for the world they were born into. Every person who changes something, whether it's an industry, a family, a community, a future, carries a certain fire inside them. A fire others might mistake for arrogance or impulsiveness, when in truth it is simply the inability to ignore a calling that refuses to be silent. That fire is expensive. It costs people sleep, peace, relationships, certainty. But the ones who carry it have no choice but to follow where it leads. She wants people to know that behind every bold step he took, there were countless quiet moments of doubt. That even the strongest visionaries wonder if they are wrong. Even the loudest disruptors question whether they are asking for too much. Even the most determined innovators have nights where they crumble. And it is in those moments, not the triumphant ones, that character is shaped. People admire resilience when it's packaged as victory, but they forget resilience is forged in failure. They love success stories, but rarely acknowledge the chapters filled with confusion, fear, and vulnerability. She remembers nights when he would sit exhausted, frustrated, overwhelmed, and yet by morning he would be back at the desk, notebook open, mind racing, refusing to let failure be the final word. That is what she wants people to pay attention to. Not the image, not the persona, not the icon, but the human being who decided that no matter how many times life tried to break him, he would rebuild himself stronger. She realized that is the lesson the world keeps overlooking, and so she shares this message, not to claim perfection, not to paint herself as a sage, but to express a truth she believes every person needs to hear: you are not defined by what the world says you should be. You are defined by the battles you choose to fight, and the courage you choose to bring with you. Your dreams do not have to make sense to anyone else. Your failures do not disqualify you. Your doubts do not weaken you. They make you human. And being human is not a limitation, it is the source of your strength. She speaks this message quietly, almost like an intimate confession, that people underestimate the power of endurance. They think success is a sudden moment, a lucky break, a genius idea. But she has watched enough life unfold to know the truth. Success is an accumulation of small decisions to keep going when no one is watching. It is waking up after defeat with the fire to try again. It is having a vision so persistent that even failure grows tired of trying to stop you. She says the world today moves so fast that people forget patience. They see someone rise and assume it was quick, easy, destined. They see someone's success and assume it was handed, not earned. But she wants people to understand that behind every so-called overnight success are years, sometimes decades, of invisible effort. The world celebrates the summit but rarely speaks of the climb. The climb is where character forms, where purpose sharpens, where resilience grows. The climb is where greatness learns to breathe. She wishes people would look at themselves with the same compassion they give to stories of innovators and leaders. She wants them to recognize that the fire they admire in others also exists in them. Even if it feels small, even if it flickers. A fire does not start large. It grows because someone protects it. Someone believes in it. Someone refuses to let it go out in the wind of doubt, her message becomes a kind of invitation to believe in the quiet power within you. To dare to look at your dreams, not the safe ones you tell others, but the ones that scare you, and admit that they matter. To stop waiting for permission. To stop apologizing for your ambition. To stop shrinking because others feel uncomfortable when you stand tall. She reminds you that greatness is not about becoming rich or famous or powerful. Greatness is about choosing the path that aligns with who you truly are. Even when that path is difficult. Even when others call you unrealistic. Even when it costs you comfort. Greatness is the refusal to betray your own potential, and then she shares the most personal part of her revelation, that she once feared her child would break under the weight of his dreams. She worried the world would be cruel, that failure would be too heavy, that the pressure would crush something soft and irreplaceable inside him. But what she learned over time is that dreams, though heavy, do not break a person, they shape them. They teach them. They refine them. A dream is not a burden. It is a compass. She speaks of the courage it takes to believe in a vision the world cannot yet see. To stand alone in a crowd of doubt. To build something that keeps collapsing until one day it doesn't. She says every person is capable of that kind of courage, even if they don't feel it now. Courage grows through action, not confidence. You take the step first, bravery follows. Her voice becomes softer, almost a whisper, as she reflects on the truth she wishes she had known earlier. You do not need the world to believe in you for your dream to matter. You only need yourself. The world catches up eventually. People always resist what they do not understand, but they will recognize consistency, resilience, and results. Every great change was once considered impossible. Every great leader was once underestimated. Every great idea was once rejected. The world is slow to believe. Do not let that slow you. She encourages you to see your struggles not as reasons to stop, but as confirmations that you are moving. Struggle means effort. Effort means growth. Growth means movement. And movement is the essence of progress. She wants you to know that your failures are not final. They are data, lessons, proof that you dared to try. The world does not need more perfect people. It needs people willing to fail spectacularly in the pursuit of something meaningful. She believes strongly in the importance of solitude. That sometimes you must step away from noise to hear your own voice. You must distance yourself from those who only speak in limitations. Who talk you out of your dreams because they are afraid to chase their own. She believes that environment matters, that the people around you shape your belief in yourself. Surround yourself with those who see your fire and encourage it, not those who fear its heat. She says that if she could tell every dreamer one thing, it would be this: do not wait to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Start anyway. Readiness is a myth. Every great journey begins with doubt. Every great creator begins with uncertainty. If you wait for confidence, you will wait forever. You build confidence through action, not preparation. Her message becomes broader as she reflects on humanity itself, how people underestimate their capacity to change their own lives. They think their circumstances define them, when in truth it is their decisions that do. She urges people to stop accepting this is just the way things are as a life sentence. That phrase has trapped more dreams than failure ever has. Life reshapes itself when you decide to reshape yourself. She believes life becomes extraordinary the moment you stop seeking permission to live boldly. Boldness is not arrogance, it is self-respect. It is the acknowledgement that your dreams are valid. That your potential is real. That your time is limited and precious and not meant to be spent hesitating. She speaks of the importance of perseverance, not as a dramatic, heroic act, but as a daily choice. Perseverance looks like doing the work when no one is watching. It looks like facing discomfort. It looks like showing up even when motivation fades. Motivation is a spark, discipline is the flame that keeps burning. She wants you to cultivate discipline, not because it is glamorous, but because it is transformative. She reflects on the times she saw her son endure criticism, doubt, misunderstanding, and how those moments, though painful, did not destroy him. Instead, they clarified him. Adversity is a filter. It removes the unnecessary, sharpens the essential, and reveals who you truly are. She realized criticism only holds power if you believe it. Other people's opinions are not facts. They are reflections of their own fears, their own limitations, their own worldview. Do not carry their limitations as your own. Her message broadens further still, becoming almost universal. The world rewards those who dare to create things that do not yet exist. There is courage in imagining a future different from the present. There is courage in believing you can contribute to that difference. She wants you to know that innovation is not reserved for the selected few. Creativity is not a gift, it is a muscle. And like any muscle, it strengthens with use. She tells you that life becomes expansive when you stop chasing validation. Validation is a moving target. You reach one milestone expecting applause, and instead you find new critics. The only validation that matters is the one that comes from within, from knowing you stayed true to your purpose, regardless of the outcome. She urges you to view your journey as unfolding, not incomplete. You are not behind, you are becoming. Every step, even the backward ones, are part of the path. And the path is not meant to be smooth. It is meant to make you. The struggle is not the price you pay for the dream, it is the process that prepares you for it. She reminds you that comparison is the thief of joy. Your story is not meant to look like anyone else's. Stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. Growth is not linear. Transformation is not predictable. You are not late. You are exactly where your lessons are. Move forward at your own pace, but do not stop moving. Her voice grows steadier as she shares the core of her realization, that the world changes when individuals decide to take responsibility for the weight of their own potential. Not to chase perfection, but to pursue purpose. Not to seek admiration, but to seek contribution. Not to avoid fear, but to rise above it. She wants people to understand that anyone can cultivate this mindset. Resilience is teachable. Courage is learnable. Purpose is discoverable. You do not need to be extraordinary to begin. You become extraordinary through the act of beginning. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that the next step will appear as you walk. Her message becomes a beacon, a kind of internal compass for anyone who reads it. Live boldly. Fail loudly. Rise repeatedly. Carry your vision even when others cannot see it. Protect your dreams from small minds. Trust your inner fire. Do not dim yourself to fit into spaces you have outgrown. Do not trade your potential for approval. And finally, her voice softens with a mother's warmth as she says the simplest, most profound truth: you are capable of more than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. Not because you must become someone else, but because you have not yet fully tapped into who you already are. Everything you need is already inside you. Your courage. Your brilliance. Your resilience. Your identity. Your future. All of it is waiting for you to claim it. Her revelation is not about her son. It is about every human soul brave enough to dream in a world that often prefers comfort over courage. It is about you reading this now, feeling something stir, something warm, something fierce. It is the quiet knowing that you, too, are meant for more. That you, too, have a fire inside you. And that the world will be brighter when you decide to let it burn. She continues speaking as though she is not only talking about her own experience anymore, but about the universal journey that connects all dreamers across time. She speaks about how life often waits until you are on the brink of giving up before revealing the slightest hint of progress. That is the test most people fail, not because they lack talent or passion, but because they expect proof too early. She says that the universe rarely rewards impatience. Instead, it whispers softly, asking whether you want the dream enough to keep going without evidence. And those who answer yes, those who continue in the dark, are the ones who eventually walk into the light with a sense of gratitude deeper than anything success alone could have given. She explains that the breakthroughs people admire from afar were often born out of the most difficult hours, days when everything felt pointless. Moments when the dream seemed too heavy to carry. She wants you to remember something vital. The moment you feel the most discouraged is often the moment before something shifts. But you must hold the line. You must breathe through the doubt, through the exhaustion, through the frustration. You must trust that your effort is accumulating beneath the surface even when you cannot see it. She reflects on the nature of ambition and how unforgiving it can be. Ambition asks you to sacrifice comfort, to challenge your limits, to open yourself to risk. People often admire the results of ambition but underestimate the emotional toll it takes. She speaks tenderly of the nights where the weight of expectation can feel unbearable. When even the strongest person bends. But bending is not breaking, it is adapting. It is learning how to carry the dream more wisely, less rigidly, more sustainably. She believes people need to show themselves far more compassion during these phases. You do not grow by judging yourself, you grow by understanding yourself. She says that those who chase extraordinary dreams often feel misunderstood, because the people around them cannot see what they envision. But this is not a sign to shrink. It is a sign to build. Build quietly. Build steadily. Build with intention. She advises you to guard your dreams the way you would guard a seed in winter. Protect them from cynicism, from negativity, from people who have forgotten how to believe. Seeds do not need applause to grow, they need patience, nourishment, and time. She speaks of courage in a new way, not as a loud act, but as a gentle, persistent one. Courage is waking up every day and choosing effort over ease. It is trying when you are tired. Believing when you are discouraged. Showing up when you feel invisible. Courage does not roar. Courage whispers, "Try again." It is the whisper she heard in her son's voice many times. It is the whisper she hopes you learn to recognize in your own life. She talks about loneliness in the pursuit of greatness. Not the loneliness of absence, but the loneliness of being ahead of your time. Of dreaming bigger than your surroundings. Of carrying ideas others cannot grasp yet. She says loneliness is not a punishment, it is a sign that you are evolving. Growth always creates distance. Not because you are better than others, but because you are becoming different. And difference is uncomfortable. But she urges you not to fear this evolving solitude. It is in these quiet spaces that your true voice emerges. She encourages you to stop looking for shortcuts. Shortcuts steal the lessons the journey was meant to teach you. They rob you of the resilience you will need later. She explains that life gives you the exact challenges required to prepare you for your purpose. They may feel unfair, heavy, excessive. But they are shaping your capacity, preparing you to hold the successes that will come. People underestimate how much strength it takes to hold success. Without the foundation built through adversity, success becomes unsustainable. She says the world tries to define people by their moments of triumph, but a mother sees the truth. A person's greatness is built in their quiet, unseen persistence. She shares that the world will never fully understand the cost of someone's dream, and that is okay. Not everything needs to be explained. Some things need only to be lived. She wants you to know that you do not owe the world an explanation for your ambition, your pace, your choices, or your journey. You owe yourself honesty and commitment. That is enough. She reflects on how people often wait for inspiration to strike before taking action. But inspiration is not a lightning bolt, it is a spark created through movement. Action precedes clarity. Action generates momentum. She urges you to stop waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one in which you decide to start. Life rewards action, not hesitation. She wants you to understand that hesitation is the silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as caution, but it is often fear wearing a logical mask. She says that your potential is far larger than the life you have allowed yourself to imagine. Most people shrink their dreams to fit their current reality instead of expanding their reality to match their dreams. She hopes you will resist this instinct. Reality is fluid. It bends to the will of those who persist, innovate, and refuse to accept limitations. She encourages you to dream even larger than you feel comfortable dreaming. Discomfort is the sign that you are stepping beyond your current identity into the version of yourself who already lives the life you want. She speaks of failure again, but with a deeper tone. She explains that failure is not an interruption of the journey, it is part of the journey. Failure is feedback. Failure is recalibration. Failure is refinement. People fear it so much that they avoid the very path that would change their lives. But the ones who succeed are not the ones who avoid failure, they are the ones who survive it, learn from it, and use it as fuel. She urges you to shift your relationship with failure from fear to curiosity. Each failure has something to teach you about the person you are becoming. She tells you that the stories you admire, the successes that inspire you, the legacies you respect, all of them were built by people who felt fear but acted anyway. Not once or twice, but hundreds of times. They acted through anxiety, through self-doubt, through exhaustion. They acted when they did not feel brave. And the strange, beautiful truth is that bravery grows not from confidence but from repetition. The more you face fear, the less power it has over you. She speaks about doubt with a softness that makes it feel less like an enemy and more like a companion. Doubt visits everyone. Even the strongest people, even the most successful, even the ones who appear unshakable. But she says doubt only becomes destructive when you let it sit in the driver's seat. You can acknowledge your doubts without obeying them. You can hear them without surrendering to them. She wants you to treat your doubt with understanding, not obedience. Doubt is a sign of growth. If you felt absolutely certain, you would not be doing anything new. She returns to the subject of vision, the ability to see what does not yet exist. Vision is a blessing but also a burden. It isolates you, challenges you, tests you. But it also empowers you to shape your own destiny. She wants you to trust your vision enough to walk toward it even when the path looks barren. A barren path does not mean a dead path. It simply means you are the first to walk it. She says that every strong person she has ever known carried a wound that taught them resilience. Not a wound that broke them, but one that revealed their strength. Pain has a strange way of sculpting character. It strips away illusions, distractions, and pretenses, leaving behind only what is essential. She does not wish pain upon anyone, but she wishes strength for everyone. And strength is born from the moments when pain forces you to choose who you will become. She emphasizes that gratitude is a superpower often overlooked. Gratitude grounds you when success tempts ego and lifts you when struggle tempts despair. Gratitude is not denial of hardship, it is the recognition of growth within hardship. She encourages you to practice gratitude not for what you have, but for who you are becoming. That shift in perspective changes everything. She believes that purpose is the greatest motivator. When you discover your purpose, effort no longer feels like sacrifice. It feels like alignment. It feels like truth. Purpose gives meaning to pain, direction to ambition, and strength to vulnerability. She urges you to listen for the quiet moments when purpose reveals itself, not through grand visions, but through moments of resonance, when something inside you says, "This matters." She talks about the profound power of believing in yourself even when others don't. Self-belief is not arrogance. It is the foundation of all achievement. Without self-belief, no amount of talent or opportunity will make a difference. She urges you to nurture your belief the way you would nurture a fragile plant. Protect it. Water it. Defend it. And over time, it will grow into something unshakable. She ends this part of her message with a truth that settles deep in the heart. The journey is long, unpredictable, and often exhausting, but it is worth it. Every hardship you endure, every failure you face, every moment of doubt you survive is part of the story that will one day inspire someone else. She wants you to remember that you are not just building a dream, you are building a legacy. And the strongest legacies are built by those who refuse to stop. She takes a slow breath as if gathering every remaining piece of wisdom still resting quietly in her heart, wanting this final part to stay with you long after the words end. She says that at the end of every journey, one truth becomes clearer than everything else. You do not rise because the world lifts you, you rise because you decide not to stay where you are. Life will not always offer support. People will not always offer understanding. Circumstances will not always offer comfort. But your own decision, your own commitment, your own inner fire, that is what changes everything. She wants you to remember that no one becomes extraordinary on accident. It happens through choice. A choice to stand back up. A choice to trust yourself. A choice to move even when standing still feels easier. She speaks of endings, not as closures, but as transitions. She believes every ending is simply a beginning wearing a disguise. People mourn endings because they cannot yet see the next chapter forming, but she knows from experience that life always continues forward, always reshapes itself, always builds something new out of what felt broken. She hopes you carry this truth with you: nothing you lose on your journey is truly lost. Every relationship, every failure, every success, every disappointment becomes a thread woven into the person you are becoming. And that person, stronger, wiser, braver, is exactly who you need to be for the life waiting ahead. She reflects on the quiet power of persistence. The days when progress is invisible are the days that matter most. Anyone can work hard when results come quickly, but those who keep going in obscurity, in frustration, in uncertainty, those are the ones who separate themselves from the ordinary. She believes that persistence is a form of faith. Not faith in luck or fate, but faith in your own growth. Faith that your effort isn't wasted. Faith that something is happening beneath the surface, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. She wants you to trust this process, because everything meaningful in life grows slowly. Her voice softens as she speaks about self-worth. She says too many people tie their value to their achievements, forgetting that they mattered long before they succeeded and will still matter long after they fail. She wants you to know you are worthy not because of what you create, but because of who you are while creating. Worthiness is not earned, it is recognized. And she hopes you recognize it sooner rather than later, because life becomes infinitely lighter when you stop measuring yourself with someone else's expectations. She talks about courage one last time, real courage, the kind that is quiet and steady. Courage that doesn't need applause. Courage that doesn't announce itself. Courage that simply chooses growth over fear, again and again. She explains that bravery is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move alongside fear. To carry it rather than let it carry you. She hopes that when fear visits you in the dark, you treat it not as a warning to stop but as a signal that you are stepping into territory where transformation lives. She tells you that the most powerful people she has ever known were not the loudest, the wealthiest, or the most celebrated. They were the ones who chose integrity when shortcuts were easier. The ones who stayed kind in a harsh world. The ones who kept creating long after others stopped believing. The ones who didn't let bitterness take root. She hopes you choose that kind of strength, the kind that builds character rather than ego, because character is what remains long after everything else is stripped away. Her eyes soften with something almost luminous as she shares the final truth she has learned. Every human being carries a unique light inside them. Some hide it. Some ignore it. Some let the world dim it. But the ones who dare to protect that light, through darkness, through failure, through loneliness, through doubt, become the ones who guide others without even realizing it. Your light is not like anyone else's. It is not supposed to be. And the world needs it in ways you may never fully understand. She wants you to know that the life you dream of is possible. Not because dreams fall easily into place, but because you are capable of rising to meet them. You are capable of growing into the person required to hold them. You are capable of transforming your reality through consistent, devoted effort. She hopes you stop asking whether you are enough and start asking whether you are willing. Willing to grow. Willing to learn. Willing to fail. willing to endure, willing to begin again. She reminds you gently that you will outgrow certain versions of yourself, and that is not loss, it is evolution. Do not fear your own becoming. Let yourself expand. Let yourself shed. Let yourself rise. The world will adjust. And those meant to walk with you will rise as well. Those who don't were never meant to accompany you beyond the chapter they belong to. Release them with gratitude. Make space for what is coming. She takes one final breath, as if imprinting her last message into the air. You have more power than you realize. More strength than you've used. More potential than you've allowed yourself to imagine. The life ahead of you is unwritten, and that is the most beautiful gift you will ever receive. You get to choose what to build. You get to choose what to become. You get to choose the meaning of your days. And when doubt tries to convince you that you are ordinary, she hopes you remember this moment, this message, this truth. You carry within you the ability to change your world in ways that only you can. She smiles then, the kind of smile that carries pride, hope, and a quiet certainty. And she says the words that linger long after her voice fades, go. Build your life. Not perfectly. Not fearlessly. But fully, boldly, honestly, relentlessly. You were made for more. And now it is time to rise into it.